obviously, not gonna lie to you, thrown on me a little bit. This one that
that's always the best way.
But you know, I thought, you know, why not? We do this kind of stuff anyway, don't we? But,
Yeah, so it's gone from me hosting the podcast to someone who couldn't make it to
me
you hosting the podcast with me.
But I think because we tend to just like digress anyway when we talk, don't we? And like we've been working what now, a year and a half, is it? Maybe
that's it. Yeah, 18 months. Yeah,
and we've done all kinds in that time, haven't we?
Yeah.
I actually didn't meet you to begin with, Reese met you, didn't I? I didn't at
at a wake, yeah. Apex, but it was a wake at the time.
That's right, yeah. And then obviously, I think we met a couple of months later, and just started we hit the ground running with stuff, didn't we?
Yeah.
And I think I might have interviewed you once we might have both done it to begin with. I can't remember, me and Reese, but then I was like, oh yeah, we can chat for a few hours about stuff here, like, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
How have you kind of found that you've kind of progressed in that time since, like, not working with us, like, as a result, but, you know, how's it changed in that year and a half, like, getting more on camera?
I'm getting more comfortable. I'm still not 100% comfortable. Like, the minute a microphone comes in front of me, my heart starts to beat a little bit, and I've got to calm myself down.
Does it? Yeah.
Yeah. I don't like, again. It's one of them things. I suppose I haven't been as consistent. I'd say probably the last few months is what I'd normally be. I probably was at a point where I was starting to get more comfortable with the podcast, definitely. But it's all good anyway.
It's like a muscle in it, I suppose.
Yeah.
I think, like, what I was kind of getting at, obviously, it's different, isn't it? Probably from what we talk about on the podcast, because when you get a podcast in, you're talking to a guest, you're listening to their stories and their things, and you offer opinion and stuff. But when we do a lot of filming in here or in M8 or whatever it may be, the subject matter switches a little bit. It becomes a lot deeper straight away. There's like not controversial opinions, but opinions that aren't the norm, so to speak. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So sometimes, from our experience in the past, people get a little bit kind of not worried, but they're a bit anxious about, like, oh, maybe I can't put that out. Do you know what I mean? Like, maybe I can't do that. Maybe I can't do that. Do you ever get like that with some of the stuff that we can?
Not with yous, no.
No?
No. Because I think obviously we work together in a sense, but because I'd say we're close as well and friends, so it's like just like speaking to one of your mates. And I think that's where it's helped a lot. Probably over the last 18 months, because all this type of stuff, speaking on microphones and things, is not something I'm very like familiar with and still not 100% comfortable with. But if I can do it with yous, it's like it's a lot easier.
It makes it easier. It's kind of more approachable, I suppose, isn't it? Like, because some people go into stuff, try and preach it, don't really understand what they're saying. I've found as well in the past, they try and be too kind of profound a little bit sometimes, and it kind of shows, I think.
Yeah, I think that's probably the odd thing, though, about, because the minute there's a microphone in your face, it's like you're thinking, okay, what am I going to say? As opposed to just saying it.
Yeah, you're trying to weigh up the value straight away and what you're saying.
Yeah, especially if you've got, like, not an agenda, but there's certain things that you want to speak about. It's in the back of your mind, you're conscious, like, how do I get that in and when's the right time to say that, or instead of just letting it flow and just speaking. So I think that's definitely, because the relationship we've got, it makes it easier to just have a conversation. But it's still hard to forget that there's a microphone in front of your face.
Why do you think then that you are doing it? Like, why do you think you're putting yourself in front of the camera and stuff? Do you know what I mean? Obviously, being honest, these cameras and stuff, obviously we've got like a bit of an agenda, like what we like to talk about each time. We do that every time. Sometimes it goes out the window and we end up just talking about other things, but we always kind of get points across, don't we? Why do you think it's important to kind of get these messages across? I suppose, like, the way I was thinking about it this morning.
I do know what you mean.
Yeah, because to me, you're like one of the busiest people in the world.
If I had the choice, I'd be off all cameras, all social media. I'd be off everything. But then, at the same time, for the stuff which I've kind of learnt over, let's say over my lifetime, but especially over the last 10 years, it's helped me so much. I feel like there's partly an obligation here to share it with people. And in a sense, I do like coaching and I like sharing information or sharing it with people, which is going to help them in some way. So it's not something I'm 100% comfortable with. It's not necessarily something I enjoy. But at the same time, I feel deep down there's like an obligation there to do certain things.
Why do you think? What do you mean by obligation? Like, surely I'd always think you're never obliged to do things, but this has come up a few times with you when we've spoken about things, and you've gone, "No, I know I have to do this." You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, there's a question. I was speaking to someone the other day. It was Simo, and I said to him, I ask myself a lot the question like why, like there's this question all the time. What comes up is who am I? But when you start to dig a little bit deeper, it's like, well, who am I, and what as Mark Scanlon, so to say, I know that there's certain people I can reach and connect with and help, people who can relate to me. So I feel like if there's a message or there's something I can share with them, people that'll help them, then for me that's not really a choice, because I know myself and I know that it wouldn't sit well with me not sharing and not helping people with these things if I know that I'm able to do that.
Yeah.
So there's certain like things which I've fell into, if that's what you want to call it, over the last 10 years, in terms of like meditation and all these other things, just stillness, just consciousness, all these different things. It's like I'm trying to gain a deeper understanding of them every day. The more I understand them, the more they help me, and then I feel like I want to share that with everyone. It's the same. It's like I think that's in our nature. If something, you see so many people go through negative experiences, come out the other side, and then go and speak to other people and help other people, and some of it can be really like traumatic, but they feel better in themselves through sharing that experience and using it to help and save other people.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. So for
Yeah.
me, like understanding who I am, and I feel very grateful in a lot of ways. It's like I've got to share that with other people because that they need it. Like they need it. If you know what I mean.
Does that become more present the more you put this out there as well?
Yeah, because as time's going on, for me the world's getting more and more crazy. And for me the solution's like consciousness, it's love, it's connection, it's community. And the world's designed to do the opposite, to separate people, to make people compete with each other, to have us all fighting and arguing. And, it's like, and unfortunately, that's our reality today. It's like social media in a lot of ways, and technology is amazing, but we haven't learned to adapt and adjust to it yet, and it's being used against us. And for me, again, just being present, managing yourself. I speak a lot about like self-management, the importance of just being able to manage your own thoughts and your own emotions, which drive our actions and behaviors and our habit. And it's like we're losing control because our humans are only designed to be able to deal with so much information, and we're constantly being bombarded by the media, the news, all these different things. And that's why so many people are depressed and suffering with anxiety, and because we're just disconnected from ourselves because there's too much going on. Like we've spoke on a friendship basis now. I've been saying how much for this year for me it's about simplifying things,
Yeah.
and just like limiting the amount of people who've got access to me and the amount of different things work wise, even outside of that stuff in the community. I've got to really be careful now because I feel like at times I've been disconnected from myself because there's always someone to ring back or there's something to do or somewhere to go, and I don't enjoy it. I don't like. I'm aware of how I'm feeling, and I'm like I don't like the way I'm feeling because I feel like too many people are chasing me, needing me for things, and
And what are you doing to combat that then this year? Are you putting more boundaries in place? Or
yeah, just being a bit more disciplined with my own boundaries. Yeah, um, trying to come back to living in alignment with what I value the most, and that's like me spending time with my kids
yeah.
and my missus, and really, really simple things. Understanding that you don't always need that next big fancy thing, materialistically, or got nice things. But at the same time, it's like they don't really mean that much. They're nice to have, but why chase things if you don't need them? Because the most important things is like, is your health, is you
Yeah.
being around the people who you care about. And if the things what you're chasing outside of that are taking the time away from the people who you love, then something's wrong.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
100%. Like, I feel like that's even for us personally. Like, obviously, we spoke as friends that are, well, my dad, his granddad's not well at the minute. Doing sound like, but I feel like it's just changed the perspective in the whole family on everything. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That all it was work, work, work. Because obviously we've got a business, my dad's had businesses, my sister's got businesses, like, and just constantly. Like we turn up and it would just be so what's happening work today? Like, you know, it was just straight away like work, and it was carrying on. But then something happens and you're like, bang, that's not everything.
Yeah, and that's
Chasing
okay.
Stuff.
It's okay to work and to be busy and to
and
have
to enjoy it as well and
goals
talk
and
about
things
it,
like that. But at the same time, we lose touch with what's really important.
And it's having the boundaries, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? So it's sort of saying like, no, we don't need to like, and we did get to a point where obviously we thought this might have been stress related, maybe that what's brought it on or whatever. You don't know, years of like lack of sleep and all that. And we go, right, now let's stop talking about it now, put it to bed, and we'll talk about it tomorrow.
But then why should it take a crisis
Exactly.
for you to realise what's actually valuable and important?
Well,
and it shouldn't really.
Yeah, but this, I think people are starting to generally start to like wake up to it a little bit, aren't they? Do you know what I mean? Like, and obviously, do you think, have you always thought like this, like growing up, or is this something that's just kind of come to you?
I honestly feel like, and I know there'll be thousands of people, millions of people who say this, but I've always felt a bit different in the sense like, I've always, like everyone will be like, well, everyone feels different. But I've always felt like a little bit of a loner in the sense, and I spent a lot of time on my own growing up. I spent a lot of time asking questions, having conversations with myself, which I do all day, every day. Sometimes to the point where I drive myself around the bend. But I have always felt a little bit different, yeah. Like I've been very, very curious, and like that whole question, which I feel like a lot more people are starting to ask now, is who am I? Why am I here? What's going on? Do you know what I mean? There's a lot of confusion at the minute, and like you were saying before, over the stuff what I speak about, and what I'm going to start to open up a little bit more about now is the fact that the confusion's coming from we're actually changing and evolving, and our evolution as people, as humans, is consciousness, and we're becoming more conscious, and because of that, we're becoming more curious, and we're asking more questions, and through asking more questions now, it's like people are lost. I've been lost in myself. Like, you're always changing and you're always growing, but I've had times where just like being me is being hard, because I'm like, who am I? What do I want? And it's like, it can be tough. It definitely can be tough sometimes. But I feel like now, because we're at a point where the world's changing so fast, so many people are waking up. Like, people are becoming more conscious. They don't understand what's going on. And it's causing a lot of people to try and escape it, in a sense. And there was a lot of addiction. People are struggling mentally and seeking other things to try and just basically get back to, like I say, to escape it, but all we're ever actually trying to do is get back to ourselves, get back to that feeling what we are when you strip everything away and you just living simple. And it's like, that's what we're all looking for, that in whatever way it is. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I think what's a good example of that at the minute, which might be just kind of like surface level. Obviously, I don't watch the news. Like, I don't try not to watch or read any like tabloid unless I see like a client's been in one of the papers or something. I'll see whether they've used one of our photos or something online. But obviously, like, I do go on social media, I flick through, and there's like trends and stuff like that. What's going on? Obviously, a big thing at the minute is like the conflicts that are going on throughout. And I don't know if you saw, there's like things going about like young people having to national service and all that kind of stuff. And obviously, people have different opinions on it and all that kind of stuff. But a lot of the people, the anger that they're getting now is that people are going, the older generations are feeling anger towards the younger generations, going, no, we're not going to do it. And it's like, that's like people kind of waking up to the agenda that's being kind of like pushed on it.
Yeah,
you know
because it's the same. COVID, all these different things, you can look at them however you want, but it's always about divide and conquer, or divide and control. And this isn't from a conspiracist point of view, because I've got an opinion on conspiracists, and I'll probably share that in a minute. But like, for me, it's all about separation, and it's all about conflict, and it's all about creating as much fear as they possibly can, because that's how they control the masses. And people are waking up and becoming more conscious. And COVID, for me, if it was done intentionally to create more fear and separation, in a lot of ways it's done the opposite, because it connected people to nature and simplicity and family and all these other things. So, like, my opinion is, there might have been, I don't know, that's the truth, I don't know whether it's positive or negative. So many people can look at it and say it's all negative and with all the different things, but in 100 years' time or 1,000 years' time, it will benefit us in some way. That's my belief. But I look at it and think so many people now became more conscious because they got stripped out of the matrix, if that's what you call it, or the system. They got pulled out of the 9-to-5s, out of the day-to-day lives, and actually got to spend time at home with the families with not much to do. So it's like, it was a blessing and a curse. But for me, I see a lot more good in it than I see bad, me personally.
Yeah.
But it's all about separation, all these different things, all these different agendas. It's a big load of bollocks, and it's all about causing more fear and more separation. And I believe that more people are starting to see through it now because it's getting very, very, very fucking, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. It's interesting
That's
what you
my-
said there, though, like obviously the separation, like we were all separated for what, a year, maybe more.
Yeah.
But it's probably back, if that, I'm a little bit liberal with this stuff, do you know what I mean? I don't really have an opinion whether it was an agenda or not, do you know what I mean? But if it was, potentially could be argued that it's backfired on them a little bit because
Yeah, it's like if when you're on a diet, all you want to do is eat fucking the things that you're not supposed to eat. So you take something away from someone and it makes them want it even more. And I think that's why I say in the short term, created a lot of separation, a lot of arguments in supermarkets over toilet rolls and fucking like it was insane.
Yeah.
But at the same time, when you look at it now, it woke a lot of people up.
Yeah.
It really did wake a lot of people up just to what's, for me, like I said before, what's important. And that's family and simple things and nature and the things which are free.
Well, I was going to say then about the nature thing, like, because doing that, like, just on a Tuesday morning, getting on your bike and doing like 10K or something like that through the fields, and the weather was amazing as well.
Working out in the garden with the kids.
Just like unbelievable. Do you know what I mean? And that's where you start looking, going. Okay.
But I look at you look at the fashion industry now. So for me, from my own observations, from looking at people locally, I've got friends who've got designer clothes shops and things like that. They're struggling because no one's asked anymore. No one's asked because through COVID, all the clothes shops were shut. They just wore anything. So it's like people aren't all the designer gear, which everyone was going mad for.
Yeah.
Now I believe that like people aren't that bothered anymore. People are just wearing plain stuff, cheap stuff. People aren't as arsed. So in a sense, people's values I know the world's fucking crazy over social media and it's all about what it looks like. But at the same time, a lot of people who I know, they've changed a lot through COVID and things. They're like, I don't need all that fancy shit no more. Not really. It doesn't make me feel any better.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I just want to be in the park with my kids on the weekend and
chilling out.
Yeah, and having a bit more money left over at the end of the month.
Just looked us both up and down, we're both in black heads and so.
This is my uniform, yeah.
That's all like day to day.
I've got a wardrobe full of black plain t-shirts.
I went on to the other day,
black night tracky bottoms, yeah.
Looked at my wardrobe and I was like, which black t-shirt should I wear after like 6 of them, do you know what I mean? But, I suppose like...
Well, that's the whole like... I got on it years ago, but there'll be loads of people who've seen it, but I'm sure it was like Steve Jobs or someone like that. And they wore the same clothes every day because they didn't want to waste a decision on what they were going to wear that day. It's got like decision fatigue. You've only got so many decisions in you in a 24-hour period. So it's like, why waste one on what I'm going to wear?
I've never thought of that before, but it does take a bit of brain power, doesn't
it? Of course, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and yeah.
But that's where like I say I have a good clear out every year. Like the period between Christmas and New Year, if I'm not using it, it's gone because I don't want to waste a decision or go down to get dressed or get my gym kits or whatever, and there's just be a load of like I don't know which one to get. And so like again, simplicity is the key.
Someone said that to me a few years ago. Actually, they were like, what you should do, you should thank whatever it is that you don't need anymore. And then so I was like, I'm not gonna start fucking thanking like my clothes. Do you know what I mean? But I was just like, just don't have an attachment. Just get rid. You don't need them. You feel so much more like less cluttered. Do you know what I mean? More kind of cleansed when it's all and stuff,
it's mental clarity. You have more mental clarity because there's less confusion.
Yeah, that's it.
You know what I mean? Less decisions to make. In our house now, our MJ's fucking obsessed with Vinted.
Is he? Yeah.
So if you're not wearing it, it's on Vinted and he sold it.
That's boss though. Even that's like really good because when I was in school, secondhand stuff, you got rinsed for it. Do you know what I mean? Like you couldn't possibly come in and something secondhand like, and it's just a waste.
I think that's another thing since like COVID and things like that, where I say people aren't bothered. A lot of people are just buying secondhand and stuff.
Upselling and
a lot of people who are obviously conscious of the environment and things like that now are buying secondhand, recycling clothes.
Yeah.
And I used to think like just give it away. I could give any stuff away, and I still do, to be honest. I give some of my own stuff away and whatever, but it's a nice thing as well, selling things secondhand on Vinted, because like people are getting to buy stuff which is like brand, like, you know, some of the kids stuff, the kids grow that quick. They're getting to buy secondhand stuff which is like brand new, but for like a fraction of the cost.
Yeah.
So it's, you know, it's a good thing.
Yeah, it's definitely good. Like, even I'm
Not when it's something that you still wear, no one and it's been
Yeah.
sold on Vinted, but
I learned a lot of that when I went to university, because I went down to like in Cornwall, like obviously like Scouser in Cornwall, do you know what I mean? Like went down trying to dress like as best I could and all that, and people just like charity shop buying and all that, and it was
no one's
great.
asked.
Do you know what I mean? Like, more for it. Okay, so one thing that comes up all the time, a buzzword, like we call it, like when we speak and all that, and everything, is consciousness. Like, what does consciousness mean to you in your kind of way of thinking about it? Might mean something completely different to a doctor than it does to
You
someone.
can be conscious, like whoever say, oh, I'm conscious, that means I'm connected to my own thoughts and myself, and I'm aware. Like consciousness and awareness is, like, for me, is similar, but consciousness is everything's like, it's a hard like thing to put in. Everything's consciousness. Like we created everything through consciousness. Consciousness is love. Like it's the force what holds everything together. So I couldn't really give you like that's what consciousness is, because it's so many different things. But one thing I know, we need to become more conscious. That's like as I don't want to use words like as a species and as like, I'm not a scientist,
Yeah,
but people in general need
as
to
a
become,
collective.
as a collective, yeah, we need to become more conscious of our behavior, of our actions, of how easily we can be manipulated with our thoughts through information and the media and all these different things. And again, I didn't mean to speak like this, but it is something that's been coming up for me a lot more lately, because I feel like through the different things that I've been involved in and the message I try and put out there, it's like it's not very often to get to like the actual real point of why I do a lot of the stuff what I do. It's because we're so unconscious, so easily controlled, and the more conscious you become, for me, the more power you start to be able to pull back to take control of your own life.
Yeah,
Through understanding your own mind, and you know, we're not our thoughts, we're not our mind. These are I really speaking. These are tools which we've lost control of, and it's being used against us, and that's the reason for so much mental health and all these different problems.
well, what do you think? What do you think the benefits are of being like truly conscious? Then, if people, you know, if you think you are like sort of like fully like conscious, or people who are on
No
the
one's
gym,
no one's fully
Yeah.
conscious, but for you to be able to
you're always
feel-
learning, aren't you? I suppose.
of course, yeah, always, every day.
Yeah.
But for you to be able to solve a problem, you've got to be aware of what the problem is.
That's a good way of
And so
putting it.
that's where consciousness is the key. Because the more you start to become conscious, then eventually you can reprogram, you know, your subconscious mind, which drives our life. And then you can create a program which supports what you value, what you love, and who you want to be, if that makes sense. So at the core, consciousness and self-awareness is the foundation, because it gives you something to work with.
Yeah,
So it's like, I know who I am and I know what I want. So now this is how I've got to behave. This is how I've got to think. Because thoughts and actions, all these different things, there's no separation between your thoughts and your actions. It's the same thing, your physical and your mental, it's all one. And consciousness is behind that. That's what, like, your consciousness, like, it's to answer the question before, is for me, consciousness for me is, that's me, I am. Or my true self.
What do you mean by I am? Because obviously this comes up a lot as well, and that can be quite confusing for people, isn't it? Like well, we've spoke about it in the past, so I've got an understanding of it. But again, still
So
learning all the
personally,
time.
when I speak about your I am, that's like your who are you. Because every day I walk out the house and I'm Mark Scanlon, and every day you walk out the house and you're Ben. And we play this part every day. But it's not actually who we are. We don't really know who we are. And that's your I am. For me, and the more I connect to me I am, the more I understand who I am, what I value, what I love. And then if you want to build a life around that. And that's where that's where happiness and all these other things, what we're all seeking in different ways, that's where it is. It's through knowing yourself. And that's what we're struggling with at the minute. I think people don't know who they are, and especially with social media and all these different things, looking at it and going, I want to be that, and I want to be that, and I want to be that. And the more you do that, the further away you go from actually who you are.
Yeah. Well, how
And
do you find that then? How do you connect more to your I am?
Stillness. Definitely through being still, through spending time on your own, through putting yourself in different environments, through stepping away from your normal day-to-day life. And it's hard. It's very like, you can get lonely.
And you suppose what you've just said before as well, your self-reflection, like that's a key
Some
thing.
people are naturally more conscious and some people are naturally more closed.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is based on your environment growing up and these different things. But I feel like for whatever reason, I've always naturally been conscious. So I've always questioned what I was, and I know I look at times and decisions I've made and things I've done when I've been young, and I think I was fucking fast asleep there, because that's not who I am. There's things you do when you're younger, ways you behave, and you can look at it now from obviously the perspective I've got now and who I am, and go, that wasn't me. And then I look at my environment and the people who I was around and what was going on, the different things that happened when I was younger, and it all makes sense. I'm like, when I was that person, I'm behaving that way. That was because I was around them people and I've been through that experience, and you just kind of piece it all together. And then once you go through that, it's like, well, who do I want to be? And then it's like, well, who am I? And that's the big question everyone's asking now is, in all the madness, what's going on? Who am I? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think kind of all links into what we were saying about I look at people who are kind of like, say, entrepreneurial, say whatever. And I always think there's a reason why those people are entrepreneurial, and what is it? Why, if everyone could just tap into that kind of thing, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to start a business. When I say entrepreneurial, that's just the word I've associated with it. But I feel like the key thing is, obviously I've always been reflective and always been asking myself kind of questions, particularly now. I've only become kind of more aware of that when starting a business, and someone said, no, think back, asking, why have you done that? Why have you done that? What's this all about? And I start to think that's kind of made it so much better. Do you know what I mean? But that's why I used to think, going back to it, I was a bit different when I was younger. Like, why is that way? Like, why is that kind of like that? I never could express it properly, but it'd just go over my head because I was a kid or whatever. Do you know what I mean? But that's kind of led me to be creative and be.
A lot of entrepreneurial people are naturally creative people. And if you look at the way the schooling system's designed, basically put people in a box. For me to churn out factory workers and normal, like that's my. I'm not against the schooling system. I definitely think it's getting better in a lot of ways, and it is changing slowly because I coach in school. So
yeah,
I'm aware of like the teachers and the different, like, the whole system in general, the schooling system, but it's not designed for entrepreneurial kids or humans, and a lot of them are misunderstood. And through the kids who I coach, a lot of them are entrepreneurial and they're switched on, they're clever, but they're not designed to sit in a classroom for 6 hours a day and consume information where they're fully aware that 90% of what they're learning is useless.
Yeah.
And that's what needs to change. They need to change the whole schooling system and design it around kids and evolution and where we're going and what we're doing and who we're becoming, because it's based on where we were 150, 200 years ago. And if you look at where we were 10 years ago in comparison to where we are now, it's like that whole schooling system, someone should be managing that, and that should be being designed to evolve with us, and it's not. And it's creating a lot of problems, in all honesty, because they're putting labels on all these kids because they don't fit in that box and that schooling system, which is not designed.
That famous, is it Einstein that says that quote? It's like, if you judge a fish by the ability to climb a tree or something, do you know what I mean?
You think it's stupid?
And I remember having an argument with the teacher when I was in school, going like, this isn't right. I'm doing it. Like, I could do it. I was a little bit lazy when it comes to that kind of thing. No, I probably could have really excelled, but I was in a band, I was a musician.
You only excel, really. Most people will only excel in something they've got an interest or a passion for.
So music for me, I flew in, do you know what I mean? But fucking textiles.
Yeah, well, my daughter's very creative.
Yeah.
She's very creative. She's got an imagination's amazing, but she's not academic. We've got to like push her to be a bit more academic and try and encourage her as much as we can. But she doesn't enjoy it. So she doesn't enjoy reading, and she doesn't enjoy maths and English. she enjoys getting a bit of praise, and we try and praise her and encourage her as much as we can. But she doesn't. She'd rather be singing and dancing and drawing, and she's really good at them other things. You know what I mean?
Express herself in that different way. Do you know what I mean? Which you know, you kind of told like, oh no, that's just your hobby. Do you know what I mean? Like,
but it's not, because you can get so good at pretty much anything.
Yeah.
Turn it into your occupation or your job or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. I mean, I've just nicked a living for the past couple of years. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Doing all kinds of.
I haven't got a clue how I've ended up where I am.
Yeah, but
I just, I haven't.
But if you're that way inclined, and whether it is to do with consciousness or whatever, you've got that kind of, you know that you're just gonna do it anyway. Do you know what I mean? And
It's as simple as
you can't let yourself. Sorry to interrupt there. You can't let yourself be put down by other people or other people's opinions. Like I always use this, and someone like me nan, for example, looks at me now to this day and goes, "What do you do for a living?" Do you know what I mean? Like, when are you gonna get a proper job, kind of thing? Like my cousin or whatever. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, go and work for someone else, and that's it. I've never been like that. I've always been like, no, I need to do something for myself. But the two polar opposites of like listening to, say, like me nan or like my dad, who's entrepreneurial, who thought for himself. Do you know what I mean? Who is awake to some degree in that sense, to someone who's completely 6 o'clock news, papers, governments have said this come through the post, so it's wrote down, so it's like
it's legit.
And that's not, and that's no slight on her, do you know what I mean? That's just what she was brought up with, and that's just kind of what it was like back then. You know, she's 80 something now, so I would never get kind of like annoyed by that, do you know what I mean? I just kind of, but again, through my own kind of consciousness and kind of path that I'm on, I just go, don't you worry about it, it's all right. Do you know what I mean? Do you want a cup of tea?
Yeah, just accepting people for who they are.
Yeah.
And we're all different, and I think that's something we definitely need to do more of in general. People just accept people for who they are, and if people are different, then really, for me, I actually really, really appreciate and take my hat off to people who are different, because it's not easy to be different in the world we live in now. You know, everyone's so judgmental. I see like young kids in the schools and things like that, and see them doing something which they've got an interest in, which doesn't fit with everyone else. And I'm like, hats off, well done. You know what I mean?
Well, as you get, some people say you might be listening to this then, because that kind of links into the next thing I've just seen there is like obviously programming and stuff like that. Some people are fully programmed, fully plugged into the matrix. That's it. What would you say to someone who's probably thinking like, because I know you get messages all the time, people message you saying, can you help me in some degree? Can you give me some advice, whatever? Someone who's thinking, I want to kind of start thinking a little bit differently for myself, whether it be for physical health, mental health, or whatever.
Most of the people who send me, about to sum up the message where I get it, how do I take control back of my mind? That's like,
that's a big question.
It'll come in different forms. Like, I had a message on the way, like, this might sound mad me, but I haven't got a clue about meditation and I wouldn't know where to start. And I'm like, but they're just tools what you use to help you become more aware of your thoughts. And the more aware of your thoughts you become, then just naturally you just become more conscious. You start to become aware of the inner dialogue. We're constantly having this conversation with ourselves, most people. And you just start to become more aware and familiar with what's going on inside in your mind. And then I think this thing, I used to realize you're not your thoughts. And I think, what do you mean you're not your thoughts? How can you not be your thoughts? But you're actually not your thoughts. You have thoughts. You have 60, 70,000 thoughts a day. You can't be all of them. You know, so it's actually being aware of like the thoughts what you're having. And then we were saying before over like programming and conditioning, it's like, well, most of your thoughts what you have based on the programming and conditioning which you basically you've downloaded, is one way to put it, from before you're born. So I speak about it all the time, which you probably heard me say a million times. It's like we're born into an environment, and that environment shapes our personality and who we become. You're born into a negative environment, then you're going to have a negative personality, and you're going to attract negative things into your life. Because that's what subconsciously, that's all you're looking for, is reason to be upset and angry and to be poor. You know, that lack mentality. It's like, that's a download based on what you've experienced. And you do get the odd people who like come from one background and go completely against the grain, and they're like, no, in a sense, that's me. Like, I've got an amazing mum, but I grew up around fucking dad on heroin, fucking drugs, police raids, just like, you know, like not saying the worst upbringing in the world. There's people who had a much worse upbringing than me, but like sometimes I think to myself, I should be an alcoholic. Maybe I should be in the fucking betting shops. Maybe I should have you know, a job which I don't like. I should be struggling. I could be on a dole. Like my life could be so different than how it is.
If you were to look at like the typical path,
If
if
I
it
was to
was on
just follow the
paper,
same
yeah,
path as
you'd just be
everyone
like,
else,
no, you
yeah.
should have been down there, kind of
Yeah,
thing. Yeah.
and like over the years, for whatever reason, I used to feel like as I started to see it for what it is and become more appreciative of the position I was and who I was becoming. This is in the last 10 years. I used to drive to all the places where I grew up, and I used to look at the houses. It was like 6, 7 different places around Liverpool, and I'd get in my car and I'd drive to them all. I'd have little memories. A lot of them were negative, to be honest, of the places where I grew up. And I'd come home and like I've sat on my driveway in tears because I'm like, how did I end up so like fortunate to be in the position I'm in now based on where I grew up? Because I should be like, you know, nothing against the people who are in them areas, but like I see some people who I was around when I was a kid, and I'm like, they're fucking living in hell. And I'm like, how did I not end up where they are? And I've got so many mates who are similar to me, who've been through a lot worse than I have, and we've had these conversations, and you're like, just that thought alone, you know, when you understand how much conditioning and programming these things play such a big part of your life, for you to not be in them places, it's like how grateful. Like, there's no words for it. There's not.
Do you get upset by that question though? Because it's been you that's pulled yourself out of it. So when you're asking like, how have I done? Like,
No, because like obviously my mum's played a big part. Like my mum's played a big part, but then my mum had me when she was 17,
right,
and she had my brother when my dad was 2 years into. No, sorry, my brother's 2 years younger than me, and this is stuff I've been thinking about recently as well. Like my mum was 17 when I was born, and my dad went on heroin when she was pregnant with my little brother. So my mum's a kid herself, 19, say, with 2 kids.
yeah,
So if you'd imagine, like, my dad was on heroin and my mum was trying to get him off heroin. So if you think about the first, like, because I understand trauma and all these different things now, being brought up by someone who, in a sense, is still only not a kid, as in a kid, but a 19-year-old girl. When I look at 19-year-olds now, you know, at 40 years of age, I'm like, they're only babies.
yeah,
So for my mum to be 19 and be bringing up 2 kids, or 20 and be bringing up 2 kids, and then trying to, you know, basically deal with having a partner who she loved at the time, who'd fucking become a heroin addict. It's like, that was our upbringing. So, you know, there will have been a lot of trauma, and, you know, circumstances weren't ideal. So and then to understand with what I've studied over the last 10 years, how, as I was saying before, how big of a factor your environment is when you grow up. For me to just be like, you know, for me to be where I am now, and I don't mean that in a sense like materialistically, I mean like mentally, physically, and you know, all the things that money can't buy alone, is like, I'm very, 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 very grateful. And through being aware and conscious, it's like, I think about it a lot. And it's helped me a lot over the years, because I do put things into perspective, and that's one of the big reasons why I want to help other people. And it's not for anyone's. I feel like I need to do it, and when I say it's an obligation because I'm so fortunate myself. Like, I've got to go and do that. If that makes
yeah.
sense.
No,
It's out of gratitude. Like, that's the truth. Like, I've thought about it a lot. I thought, is it ego? Is it for other people's pat on the back? Is it, you know, to get attention? But it's not. It's purely because of the position I'm in myself. And again, I don't mean materialistically, I mean mentally more
yeah.
than anything.
Do you find now that, like, in light of all that, obviously, as a kid and all that kind of stuff, do you find more pleasure in the, and you said this before, to be honest, in the simple things that, like, that haven't got four wheels or shines on your wrist and that
Yeah,
kind of thing. Do you know what I mean?
100%,
Like,
yeah. And I've been through the phases where they meant everything, the same as most people. Like, it was always like from one thing to the next, and them material things meant the world, because they were what they were my idea of success. so to say. If you had all them things, then you were successful and people would respect you. But it's not about that no more. And in a sense, I've had all them things, and it's like sometimes you have got to get certain things to realise that not all it's cracked up to be. You know what I mean? But I keep going back to being more conscious and being more aware. And it's like when you are more conscious and aware, you understand what's really important.
But it comes from comparison, doesn't it? Normally, like you look at things and you go, I want what they've got. And you said this before, you were like, I want that, I want that. But you don't really know what's going on, like through the other side of
But
that
that
scheme.
is ego. That's
Yeah.
like that's the conditioned mind. You know, the conditioned mind thinks I need them things to be successful and to be happy, and but you don't. It's just programming and conditioning. That's just our environment. It's the media, the news, all these different things, just trying to sell you the dream. You know what I mean? And when I was saying over this year being more simple, it's like taking all them things away. When you take all them things away, then happiness is there naturally. Not something you have to seek or you have to work for it every day. Not saying you don't, but it doesn't come from the places where most people think they're going to find it. Sometimes you got to get to them places to realise that's not what it's about.
Yeah. So say I come to you then and I just wanted like a very kind of loose blueprint of how I'm gonna fucking break out of this locked in system of like, lockdowns and all that kind of stuff and war and all that. Like, just
Taking control back.
yeah. Where do I begin with that? Do you know what I mean? As someone who's just stumbled across it. Someone who might be thinking a little bit differently and has just found you coincidentally, or there's no coincidences, but just come across you.
I always say self-inquiry is like a term a lot of people use. Self-reflection. It's like you've got to, the first thing you need to do is start trying to figure out who you are. And like that's the foundation for all of it, for your happiness, for everything. Because if you don't know who you are, how do you know what you want? How can you set goals if you don't know who you are? So people set all these goals, work towards them, achieve them, and they're not happy. They're not happy because it's not actually what they want, what the ego wants, the conditioned mind, the false self. So like at the foundation is who am I? What do I value? What do I love? What's my purpose? And if you can figure that out and you can get up every day and work towards that, then that's your best chance of like fulfillment and happiness and all the things what we're seeking.
It's not a quick journey, this though.
No,
that's going to be a long kind of. They're deep questions.
Yeah, I
and
get people ask
well.
me for help and advice, and I struggle myself sometimes. You know what I mean? Like I've fucking put a lot of time into myself, spent a lot of time on my own, and I've helped a lot of people, and I'm still, I say, a white belt. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's coming on to like the next point is like bringing the word frequency comes up all the time now. No pun intended, obviously. Frequency, we can talk about that. I don't know how much you want to kind of talk about these things as well. What you're up to now, we might come up to it. Like, but people always say like it's got different things, isn't it? Like wavelength, vibe, frequency.
They all mean the same thing.
Yeah.
Everything's a frequency. Everything's energy. Everything's a frequency. If you break it down, there's nothing there. And what shapes it and creates it is our perception and our belief that it's real. I know that's like there'll be people who are like, what the fuck's he talking about? But I believe we do live in a hologram and we created ourselves through our beliefs and through our perceptions. And that's where it can be difficult, just living in reality when at the core that's what you feel like you know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like we shape this whole thing. So it's like every bad experience I have, like I might sound mad, but what have I done to create that? Like, do you know what I mean? What have I done to cause that, or what's the meaning in it, or like,
Yeah. It's definitely
we shape this world through our beliefs. So the best way I try and explain that to people is if you look at everything outside of nature, outside the trees, the plants, animals, everything, it was created through human imagination. We seen it there, imagined it, and then made it real.
yeah.
So think about that. We didn't grow out of the earth. We all came out the earth, every single one of us. But there's something special about humans because cows are cows, dogs are dogs, fucking monkeys are monkeys. Humans are different. We can choose. Sometimes it's a good thing, but when someone else is in control, it's a bad thing. if that makes sense.
Yeah. I think like over the past, because you've put down here like 2012, but I didn't want to just like dive straight into it, but there was a big kind of people create, whether they did or not, we created that kind of whole idea of it, didn't we? Like the 2012 thing, and whether there was like a shift after that or whatever, doesn't have to be like a proper thing, but everyone was like, there's definitely something different there. Like, you know, something definitely changed from 2012. And is that just like people are more just on the same wavelength now? Do you know what I mean?
No,
Like,
it's very common for people to say there was something happened in 2012 where things started to change. But even if you take that data out of it, take 2012 away from it, if you just observe how people have changed in the last 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, it's like there's definitely something going on, regardless whether it was in 2012 or it wasn't. People are thinking different and behaving different and questioning things, and you know, look at like well-being and all these different things now. It's like
it's flying, isn't
it's
it?
not coincidence why people are seeking ways to feel better, whether it's cold water, meditation, exercise. People are feeling more discomfort with the way things are changing and the way they're feeling, and like people are looking constantly now. It's like looking for ways to feel better, or looking for ways to understand themselves and their own minds and things like that.
And realizing as well that the thoughts can affect.
Your thoughts shape your world, yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Your thoughts shape your world.
100%. Like,
for me, the thing where like, so where I've asked questions to myself, what's always baffled me a little bit is like, I'd look around and think, how aren't all these people thinking what I'm thinking or asking these questions? How are they just accepting the way things are for what they are? I'm thinking that they've got no influence over nothing. Things are just the way, it is the way it is, when it's actually not. You know what I mean? You can change it all. You can change it the way you think. You can change who you are.
Yeah, I was getting a bit of a reputation for being a bit of a pessimistic thinker. I kind of justified it to myself, going, I'm not thinking negatively. I'm just preparing for the thing. Like, particularly like with work, I'll be like, what if this happens? What if this happens? And they'll be like, you're just overthinking. I'm like, I'm not overthinking. I'm preparing in case these things do happen. What do we do in that situation? But I probably am overthinking when I actually look at it. Like, I'm just trying to like talk myself out of it. So I've made like a bit of a conscious effort this year to kind of be a little bit more.
Yeah, well, man, expect the best. Or be prepared for the worst.
That's a good, exactly. So I was always prepared.
My
for the
focus
worst,
is always, I'll always see the best case scenario and everything what I go into. But I know that I'm prepared for the worst, because if the worst happens, that's just how it's meant to be.
Yeah.
Everything's always guiding you to somewhere better. And that's my little motto, you know.
That's it. I was always prepared for the worst. I was never expecting the best though. But obviously, like with stuff what was going on at home and stuff, I wouldn't we're in like a little group chat, like me and my sisters and recent stuff about like, it was like a support group for my dad and me stepmom and stuff, and I just wouldn't entertain like the idea of like these things weren't gonna go right. And whether that's manifestation or whatever you want to call it, I don't know. But I just never had time for that in my brain. I was like, he'll be sound. Do you know what I mean? And seeing how he was like the day before he started the treatments, the day after, he was like a completely different person. Even though probably it might not have. I don't know whether it will have had like a direct effect that quick. Was it mindset? Is it not? But I'm definitely seeing the effects of the positive thinking and the affect
in himself or from the people around him.
In himself, and also for, don't get me wrong, like this treatment might be like flying, and I'm fully convinced that it is. You know, like he goes for a scan in a couple of weeks, but I ask him all the time. He goes, "Feel great." Apart from feeling one sick day, like, you know, every couple of weeks, he says, "I feel absolutely fantastic. You know, great, whatever." And I was like, "Sound," because that's what I expected 6 months ago when like we thought, you know, you're gonna go on this or whatever. But even personally for myself, because of that, I've started thinking of like, it'll be sound, it'll be great. I know it's going to be great. Do you know what I mean? Work, that's good. Yeah, we'll sort it. It's great. There's no panic. There's no stress, and it's definitely making a difference. And I've always been a little bit skeptical about if I manifest a parking space now, it'll be there. Do you know what I mean? Which I know it doesn't work like that, but there's definitely been things where I've been going, I want this, and it's I've done it daily. I've thought about it. It's been ever present in my mind. And then lately it's kind of been coming into fruition. Do you know what I mean? I won't talk about it because like I keep it to myself a bit, but I've gone, holy shit. There might actually be something to that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, there definitely is. Like,
Yeah.
there definitely is.
It's funny actually because you got me at a little book, The Secret thing, you know, like a little gratitude thing.
Mm.
And I had it in my head and I was like, from the new year, I'm going to write in that. I kept it for because I had another one. I was like, I'll write in that. But ever since I started this, say 6 months ago, and I had it in my head that like I need to write in this book for it to like happen. Do you know what I mean? But I'll start from the new year. Come about a week before the new year, I was going away. I was going away New Year's Eve, sorry. And I couldn't find it. So, looking for this book, I thought I can't do this until I've got, you know, whatever. The day before New Year's Eve, I knew that book was in a drawer that I'd left it there since she dropped it off that year. It was gone. I went and looked, couldn't find it anywhere. And I was like, shit, like, can't believe it, can't do it, it's not going to happen for me now because I haven't got this book.
Mm.
And then when I got on the flight, I was going away, I was thinking about it, and I was like, where the fuck is that book gone? And I was like, actually, what fucking difference does it make? Because it's been working for me anyway. I was on a flight doing something that I would kind of been thinking about, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I had to let go of that. It wasn't there for the reason, whatever it may be. Don't know where it's gone to this day.
Mm.
It had been in that drawer for a year, and I must have took it out, must have whatever, but it vanished off the face of the earth. But does it matter? Do you know what I mean? No, because I'm thinking about like what was going on.
Maybe that's the lesson, what you needed to learn, that you don't need that book to manifest.
Yeah.
Whatever it is. What.
You don't need things, do you know what I mean?
And they definitely help. There's definitely value in writing things down and having daily reminders of what's important and what, you know, basically what you want to happen, what you want to manifest, what you want to create, all these things. But you don't need them. You don't need to write them down.
Yeah.
You know, if it's clear enough and it means enough to you, you'll think about it every day anyway.
That's it.
But it does help. I'm not taking anything away from the power in putting pen to paper.
Yeah, yeah. Even like it's that having that minute to yourself, isn't it? And the thing that I would have was the Ganesh that you got me. I've still got that, and I still carry it around everywhere. That's been to the Caribbean with me 3 times. Back, do you know what I mean? And even like going through security, I'd take it out of my pocket and I'd put it on there, do you know what I mean? And I jumped in Simo's car the other day. His was on the side, do you know what I mean? And I was like, I will have
but
that.
They're just little symbols. I drive around in the car and like, I've got a little leprechaun. My granddad was Irish, and I've got Irish in me. I'm obsessed with green. Like, obsessed with green, which is no anyway. I have a little leprechaun in my car, and he just reminds me that I'm lucky. Because I have a bit of a laugh with people who are close to me, and like if anything gets said, everyone goes, "You're fucking," you know. I can't even think of a quote, to be honest with you. But they say, "You're just a fucking jammy bastard," and I say, "I am. I'm lucky, and I own it."
Yeah.
And that's what the leprechaun reminds me of every time I look at him. I give him a little wink and a smile and I say, fucking yeah, I'm a lucky bastard, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I've got a Buddha. And that's like, yeah, lucky and I'm zen. Just try and stay cool. You know.
Just brings you back to it's like your home point, isn't it? When you
just little reminders, make them little daily reminders are key.
When you have that meditation, when meditation, like you have this thing called like a home point, don't you, where you bring yourself back to.
Yeah.
Which I struggle to do it when I close my eyes and that, but that home point for me is that little Ganesh that I keep hold of. Do you know what I mean? When I've got hold of that, I'm thinking, I'm present. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
That, whether that's a book or whatever. Do you know
what I
mean?
You've got to figure out what works for you, what helps you. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Ganeshes are cool, aren't they?
Yeah, they're cool, yeah. I went on Amazon to see if I could find like a couple just in case, like, you know, again, what if I lose it? Do you know what I mean? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I was like, fuck's sake. But
well, if you lose it, then again, someone who needs it's gonna find it, and that's like,
that's
you know,
it.
They won't know what it is. They just feel like, what's this little thing? And then the next minute, they start having a bit more luck.
Some power in that, mate, and saying you
start having a bit more luck.
That's like a little show.
I see some fella on the news won the Euro Millions. Found this thing on a plane.
Ganesh,
won the Euro on the following Friday.
Oh, yeah, I know exactly where that is, mate. Don't you worry about it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so last couple of points that you've put down here is obviously like solution-based thinking, send a message to all the conspirators who talk good, but just add to the problem through creating like
kind of stuff. Collective fear.
What's your thoughts on that kind of thing? Like, where's that come from?
That's come from me having fucking loads of conspiracy theorists who just pump a load of fear out and make it even fucking worse. But like my message to all the conspiracy theorists is before you start pumping more fear into the collective, get your own shit together first. Because a lot of them are unconsciously just addicted to all these conspiracy theories. And I'm the first to sit here and say 90% of them come true. But at the same time, if you're sharing that information with people who are just going to be even more scared, it's like, what's the point in that? Because you're actually working or doing the same thing as what the media and all these other things are doing, is trying to pump more fear into the collective. So it's like me, it's solution-based thinking. I can bang on about all the conspiracies over my social media, problems with the schools, problems with just fucking society in general, or I can actually get in there and fucking do something about it. And that's solution-based thinking. Solution-based thinking is the schools need updating. Well, get in the schools if you can and coaching. That's what I do. That's the reason why I'm in there. I could be on social media slating all the schools every other week, but I don't, because the schools aren't all bad. There's definitely issues and problems and things which could be better. But for me, it's about taking action in a positive way. Whatever you focus on your feed, and if you're causing more people to focus on the negative things which are going on, the different agendas and things, and it's just going to make them more scared, then you're actually making things any better. And like going back to what I said before, a lot of the people who are mad into the conspiracies, they're giving all their time and attention. They're actually very, very intelligent people, but they're directing their attention in the wrong way. They need to focus on the solution. How can I make things better? How can I help? It'll be something dead simple in your community, helping someone, or, but they're not actually helping anyone by creating more fear and more worry.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I've always had that opinion. It was like 5G. Everyone started raving about 5G towers.
Yeah.
When they come out, saying they're gonna give everyone cancer, and it was like, if people drive past them and start to have the perception that tower's gonna give me cancer, your body can actually create the cancer. That's how, like, to the point if you start driving yourself around the bend every time you drive past a 5G tower and think that's gonna give me and my kids cancer, you can create the cancer, not only through the stress but through actually, like, your body. As I've said this before, is so intelligent. If it believes you've got a sickness or a disease, it can start to create it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, you start to just feel yourself going on one, don't you? And that's just the physical effects of these things. Like, and
we can heal our bodies through our thoughts and through our imaginations, through our minds. But if you can heal it, you can make it sick, and people do.
Yeah, it's gone out the window now, that 5G stuff, hasn't it? I've heard anything for a long time.
But when it first came out, it was like
great,
people were burning towers down, and I'm still not saying it's a positive thing. It's in any way. But at the same time, by giving people a belief that thing is going to make them sick, how's that helping anyone?
Yeah.
It's not. You're just making the problem even worse. And I'm all about raising awareness for certain things, but at the same time, there's an intelligent way to do it, and most of them don't. Most of them are just fucking obsessed with negativity and all this, and the corruption and whatever. But what are they actually doing to fix it? They're sitting behind the fucking keyboard, and they're unhealthy, and they're unhappy, and they're all these things. They're just channeling all their energy into creating more fear. And a lot of them do. I'm not saying all of them. I've got friends who've basically, told me what's going to happen a long time before it did. I've got friends who said to me, they're going to do this and they're going to do that. And I was like, fucking no way, that's going to happen. You're around the bend. Flat earthers and all. And then a year later it's happened, and I'm like, no way, you said that was going to happen a year ago.
Yeah.
And some of them are in the community doing really positive things and helping, but I'd say 90% of them are doing fuck all.
Yeah.
They're just creating more fear.
That's it. Sort your own stuff out first, isn't it?
Get your own shit together before you put the world to rights. Get your own house in order. Do you know what I mean?
Peterson says that a lot, doesn't he? And people go into one over it, and I'm like, it's so right.
No, it's right, yeah.
And you just,
before you put the world to rights, get your own house in order.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
100%. Should have talked a bit more about him, actually, because there was a few things throughout there which he said, like stuff like he said something about like the self-reflection thing. He was like, to find out who you really are, like, sit on the end of your bed, ask yourself these questions, and you won't be honest, and you won't like the answer.
Yeah,
and
if
all.
that question is how I'm behaving every day,
Yeah,
aligned with the person who I want to be.
Yeah. Well, again, ask yourself these questions before you start, like.
Yeah, you're saying before, over like writing your goals down and things, like journaling's powerful. Get a pen and paper and just start to write and see what comes up. Like there'll be stuff will come up after a while that like you didn't even know was there, and it's useful and it's valuable, and it's just another way to understand more about yourself and who you are.
So what you do? How do you think you can, or you are helping them with these to raise the consciousness, the collective consciousness? Do you know what I mean?
Just through speaking like this
Yeah.
and doing the work on myself every day. Like you've got to do like before you speak or you say anything, you've got to do the work on yourself. And I feel like I have, and I'm still miles away from having the understanding, which maybe I never will. I don't know. That's the truth. But for what I understand and for how I think and for what I believe and for whatever reason I think this way, it's definitely helped me a lot, like massively. And that's why I'm so passionate over like sharing it. And I've shared it with people and I've seen them go on to help other people. And it's like, it definitely, we've got a lot more control and a lot more power than what we're led to believe we have. A lot more potential. Like the potential's like fucking scary. That's how much potential we've got. But it's the way everything's designed. It's for us to not realise that potential, and there's a reason behind it. And I believe like it's all starting to fall over now. People are asking the questions, and that's why I believe that I've got a reason to start speaking about these things. I've got an obligation in a sense because, in a way, I've been able to shape my own life, and I believe we all can. And there's nothing I'd love more than to help other people. And I get messages off people say a podcast or something I've said, or I've never shared none of these messages, but I've had a lot of messages off people say just that conversation or that podcast or that message in the morning or that quote like led me to watch this and to listen to this and just opened me up to believing different things and seeking different information, and it's changed my life, and they're the most rewarding. As much as I could sit here and say that they don't do it for that and whatever, the best feedback you can get in the world is someone saying something you said or something you done has helped me change the way I behave every day, and it's made me a better dad or a better mum or a better, in any way, a healthier person. It's like that's the best thing ever.
So what's the plan then? To grow, obviously grow that. You're gonna do more of these videos and stuff.
I'm going to start to be a bit more open with what I believe. Yeah, as I say, I'm always focused on solutions. What's the solution? And I've never really wanted to. I've never been comfortable using words like awake or asleep but people do need to wake up. We all need to wake up. We all need to realise what we're actually capable of and how this whole fucking thing works. Life, it's hard, it's a challenge, but the more you start to gain an understanding of who you are and how you want to live and what you're actually capable of, it's like, that's the key. You know what I mean? We are nature. You know what I mean? That's like, we are nature. Like, we come out of the earth. And there's not many people you can sit there and say, we came out of the earth. Everything you can see came out of the earth. Like, we're part of all that, and that's part of all of us, and we're all one. And when you speak that way, people don't really don't understand. There's not many people you can speak to, like from our backgrounds and things like that. You wouldn't get that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I think, not.
But if you look at the circles, I won't say what we're in, or especially me, really, I can speak like that to everyone who's around me, and they don't think I'm crazy.
Yeah.
I can speak to Luke. I was with Luke last night. We've got similar beliefs, maybe different, but
different opinions. Yeah, but none of the stuff that you say though is like outlandishly, like But you get some people out there, and I do look at them and I think.
But if you were in the boozer and you said, "Look, we're all nature. We're fucking with the plants and us. We're all the same thing." It's like,
oh, you get a few
like he's
funny
fucking.
looks.
What's he been smoking? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
That's fucking one too many.
Yeah.
But it's not like for me. It's like it's common sense. We all came out of the earth.
Yeah, I think. Do you know what? I've got no problem with kind of saying it. Do you know what I mean? I'm a little bit more kind of liberal, as I say. I think I have to be a little bit because obviously I'm building a business, and a business that serves everyone and all that kind of stuff. And I don't want to. Not that I'm not being true to myself, because I always.
Look, we've got our different ways of staying grounded.
Yeah,
that's probably the best way to put it.
people come to me and they go, I think, and I go, well, that's like maybe. Do you know what I mean? I don't know. I don't really have if I don't know too much about it. I don't really offer like a massive opinion on things. Do you know what I mean? And I just think if you're not hurting anyone, just go for it. Like, do you know what I mean? As long as you're not spreading misery around and all that kind of stuff. But maybe that's because I don't know too much of what's going on in the agenda and all that kind of stuff.
I don't myself.
Yeah.
Like, I don't look into research any of that stuff. But I think through having an understanding of who we are and why we behave the way we behave and our personalities and like what drives us, all these different things, it's like you just naturally start to see things for what they are.
Yeah.
You don't need to fucking watch conspiracy videos on YouTube. You don't need, I've never watched one single conspiracy video in my whole life. But through understanding what drives our behaviour and what shapes our reality, you can spot a conspiracy a mile off, spot an agenda a mile off. All about the same thing, creating more fear, more separation, more isolation. It's like, no, you don't need to be a genius to understand that that's what it's about.
What was the conspiracy video you watched? Just
I've never watched one.
You've never watched one?
I've never watched.
I
I've
thought you
never
said you
watched.
one.
I've fucking been sent thousands on WhatsApp groups and things like that. People send me a conspiracy video on WhatsApp. I just exit the group or delete them on my phone.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or I've asked them not to. Don't send me videos like that, please.
Yeah.
Because I don't need to watch them videos to understand that there's certain things going on. And you can, as I say, you can, in the media now, just agenda after agenda. Well, you can't buy into it too much and give it too much of your time and attention because
eats away, yeah.
You just add to the problem.
Yeah, definitely.
You just feed it. Well, it's always what's the solutions.
Yeah.
Help boys be boys, help men be men. You know what I mean? If schools, you don't feel like they're doing a good job, I'll get in there and I'll fucking do what I can myself.
Yeah. Show that you can do it.
Yeah.
Just a little bit of proactiveness.
You get nothing off the government. The government fucking, the way they throw money about it, like the people who actually need it don't get it.
No.
That's politics for you. That's just the way it is. It just means you just got to do it yourself. But when you hear like the phrase everything's connected and everyone's connected, one of the best examples I give to people is you can think about someone who you haven't seen since you were in school. Like, 15 years you haven't seen that person. And then you can walk around the corner in town, or you could even be in like fucking Wales or in Spain on holiday, and you'll turn the corner and that person who you haven't seen for 15 years in school just appears out of nowhere and you think, wow, what a coincidence that is. But then you don't realise that everything's connected and there's no coincidences. And it's called quantum entanglement. I've mentioned it loads of times.
Yeah.
But there is no coincidences. Do you know what I mean? But like examples like that are good because people can relate to them and understand.
That's where people go, what the hell happens to me?
That wasn't a coincidence. That thing what happened, which you thought was just like, wow, how mad was that? And then you never give it a second thought. Like that's not an accident.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
There's loads, yeah.
But they are good examples because everyone can relate to that. That's happened to me. God knows how many times. I've thought about someone who I haven't seen and then they've appeared.
Oh, 100%.
Or your mates. Yeah. Like, me and Brian have a laugh, Brayman Brian, because everyone knows I'm hard work on the phone. And Brian used to say that if he tried to ring me a couple of times and hadn't heard off me or he was wondering where I was, he'd just start to like basically see me in meditation. So he just visualises see me and he'd say, within like half an hour you'd ring me. And I believe him, it's true.
Yeah.
Like he'd literally just call me and he'd be like, fucking, where are you? You know, and then the next minute I'd be phoning him back. Oh. And it's true.
I was really going to bring Brian up actually in it because he talks a lot about his podcast was great because he's like, I used to think differently as a kid. Like, you know, I used to think like, why is the carpet moving and like, you know, all that kind of stuff.
But that's the whole like energy thing. Everything's energy. And we can only see through our senses. We can only see it very like, you reckon like 0.00003 of what is actually here through our senses that we can only tap into like very, very small amount of what's there.
Yeah.
And people are different, especially when your kids are like desensitized. As you become older, you become desensitized. Kids are a lot more sensitive to frequencies and energies and a lot more intuitive than we are. So that's where like you see like kids speaking to like ghosts and things like that. Years ago they'd been like, that's a load of shit. It's false. But it's not. You can actually see things that we can't. Because they're a lot less conditioned than us. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. got another project going on at the minute actually with a fella called John Power. Do you know him? The
Yeah,
psychic.
psychic.
Yeah.
Wow, know a bit about him.
Yeah, he come in the other week and
He's real, you know.
well, so we come in with actual like family friend the other week, and I don't know if you know Paul Whiteside at all. Owns Broadway carpets and
Dead familiar the name.
he's well out of town, like you know what I mean. He's a proper cool guy. Like again, you would get on with him like a house on fire, mate, because he's fully awake. Like you know, just he's into his stuff a little bit. He's into like he's in impeccable shape and that, but likes microdosing and all that kind of stuff and whatever. Happiest fella ever. Do you know what I mean? Comes in, got his own little podcast going, Pod Notes, I think it is, or something. And he brought John in and was like, "I'm gonna do this thing called like psychic supper. And we're gonna get people in." And just like he said, because he blew my mind. He told me, mate, that his bed was like cheating on him, and then she was like, and do you know what I mean, and all that. And even in they were outside when he pulled up here, and he said he found my brother-in-law's sister, because they're close, Paul and Diane. And John was in the passenger seat, and when he was on speaking, he just went, "How's your back, Diane?" He went, "You're struggling with it, aren't you?" And she went, "I'm in bed with sciatica and back pain at the minute." And he was like, "Yeah, that kicked off last week, didn't it? Who's Frank?" And she was like, "That's my brother." And he was like, "Phone him. He wants to speak to you about and Paul would just come in and was just like, "Oh my God," like, do you know what I mean? And I know, like, Frank's my brother-in-law. Like,
I've got goosebumps now.
Yeah, mate, honest to God, like, and he come in and he was like, "Ben, I had not mentioned Frankie to him, like, whatsoever. He didn't know Diane, like, what, you know, just madness, like." But John just coming in and was just like,
a couple of my mates had an experience with him years ago. They actually got him out and got a reading. That's what you call it.
yeah,
But I know he's real.
yeah,
Like, I've never met him, but I know he's real.
yeah,
I just know. I know he's
Yeah.
real. He's a proper one. You know what I mean?
yeah, defo. He got stitched up though by Darren Brown a few years ago. He come in and tell me about it. It was quite intense, really. Do you know what I mean? Like Darren Brown fully stitched him up and put this woman up to like fake name and everything. Do you know what I mean? To make him look stupid. But he's a kind of
he's real.
Yeah.
So again, years ago, I'd be like, "Load of shit. Don't believe it. Doesn't exist."
He says though, he said the more of a skeptic you are, the better. He's like, I'll show you. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He didn't give me any readings, like, but maybe I'm too fucking emotionally blocked for that kind of thing. But
Yeah, I'm not something I ever feel the need to go and do myself.
yeah,
Like, I'm not obviously not. I'm against, but it's horses for courses. It's not for me. I'm happy to just wait and see what happens. Whatever I can have an influence over, I will.
I'm interested to see this thing, like this project, if it kicks off. Just gonna get people around the dining table and get him and out and just give them some readings and then get them back a week later. 'Cause he said sometimes people don't know straight away what they're doing. You know what I mean? And then a week later, they go, "Oh shit, yeah, that was it," like, and then they're gonna come back and see.
Yeah.
Good though.